think I might have that touch of a blacksmith today.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome back to the 2-in-1 Golf YouTube channel. And today we're really excited. We've got a great review for you. We're going to be reviewing the Maxfli Tour X golf ball. We know there's a lot of interest out there in reasonably priced, high-performing golf balls. And Dick's and Golf Galaxy, for a limited time until July the 6th, are going to be selling the 48 pack of the Tour S, and this ball, the Tour X, for $109. So even when you add in tax, that's coming in at less than $30 a dozen for high-performing, reasonably priced golf balls. We think that's an awesome deal. We've heard a lot of great things about these balls, and we wanted to bring this review to you to help you make a decision on whether or not you would want to spend even that $109 on probably the better part of a season's worth of golf balls. We picked the Tour X because my ball of choice right now is the Titleist Pro V1X. The Tour X is Maxfli's competitor to that, and I picked the Pro V1X based on Ping's Ballnamic web-based fitting system. I put in all my parameters early in the season, and that's what it spat out for me. So again, I'm really excited to get this review going. So with that, let's talk a little bit about Maxfli's history, because unlike most direct-to-consumer brands, the Maxfli name actually has quite a bit of history in the golf industry. So after that history, we'll get to the testing.
We're back in the office. And before we get too far into Maxfli's history, I wanted to make a special announcement for a giveaway that we're going to be doing for our subscribers. So please watch to the end of the video for more details. Now a little bit about Maxfli's history. Maxfli started out as a brand name for balls made by the Dunlop Tire and Rubber Company back in the early 20th century. Maxfli has a special place in my heart. The head pro at the club I worked at in high school was on Maxfli's staff. So all of us there in the shop played the Maxfli HT Bellata. And that Maxfli HT Bellata was really gaining popularity on tour in the 80s and the early 90s, and was giving Titleist a real run for its money, and possibly could have overtaken Titleist if not for the fact that Maxfli's main ball plant in Kobe, Japan was destroyed in the 1995 earthquake. Move on to the early 2000s, and Maxfli started getting into the solid core urethane ball market, competing with Titleist's Pro V1 with their M3 Tour, which was another favorite ball of mine. TaylorMade entered into a licensing agreement with Maxfli in the early 2000s, and then bought the brand out completely in 2003. TaylorMade sold balls with the Maxfli brand alongside their own TaylorMade branded balls. But in about 2006, TaylorMade decided that the premium balls were strictly going to be TaylorMade's, and Maxfli was going to be reserved for down market golf balls. So Maxfli fans were left with John Daly as the only staffer, and Maxfli balls like the Fire and the Noodle. Not great. TaylorMade sold the Maxfli name and most of the trademarks to Dick's Sporting Goods in 2008. They kept the patents and all the important intellectual property and the Noodle trademark. So if you're a fan of the TP5 franchise, then their heritage reaches back into the original Maxfli, and the new breed of Maxfli balls don't share any of that DNA, really. Moving on to the current day. According to my Golf Spy, the current 2023 Maxfli Tour X is produced in Taiwan by Foremost. Now, TaylorMade gets back into the picture here because they created a joint venture with Foremost in 2019, TM Golf Ball Taiwan. And now it looks like TaylorMade has outright bought the Foremost plant, according to My Golf Spy's No Putts Given podcast. Check out their February 21st episode for more information. So while no DTC ball company really likes talking about their manufacturer, it is quite possible that these balls are effectively being made by TaylorMade. TaylorMade's factory in Taiwan is really the only producer of golf balls there, after a 2023 fire wiped out their rival Launch Technologies. So with history behind us, let's start digging into the numbers.
So I'm going to start with a 58-degree wedge. I'm going to hit my usual gamer, the Pro V1X, 10 shots. And with the 58, I really want to get a baseline for the spin that I'm going to get. I want to see what kind of spin I get with my 58-degree wedge with the Pro V1X, because when we compare the Tour X to that, I think that's going to be probably the most important comparison, is how does that ball spin and therefore stop on greens compared to what I'm used to in the Pro V1X. That's 10 shots with the Pro V1X, and really about what I expected. Carry in the 90 to 95 yard range and spin generally in the low 9,000s, maybe getting up to about 9,500 RPM. We'll dig into the data a little bit deeper, but now let's change over to the Tour X. We've hit 10 shots with the Pro V1X. Now we're going to hit another 10 shots with the Maxfli Tour X. Just the first shot there, but looks awfully similar. All right, so that's another 10 shots with the Maxfli, and we'll run the numbers a little bit later. But first impressions, I'm seeing the spin, the height, the carry, all almost identical to the Pro V1X. So far, good start for the Maxfli. The Maxfli looked really good with the 58-degree wedge. Let's move on to a 7-iron and see how they compare. Once again, we'll start with the Pro V1X. So that's 10 shots with the Pro V1X. Carry right around 170 yards, spin somewhere in the 5 to 6,000 range. Didn't really hit 6, got close a couple times. So let's compare that to the Maxfli and see how it does. So now we're moving on to 7 irons with the Maxfli Tour X. First ball impression again, similar flight, similar spin. Let's get some more data. So that's 10 7 irons with the Maxfli Tour X. And again, we'll need to run the numbers to see, but just first impressions, looking really, really similar to the Pro V1X. So let's move from here to the driver. So last but certainly not least, let's hit some drivers. Once again, starting with the Pro V1X. So that's a pretty wide variety of shots, lots of variability, big dispersion. But honestly, that's what you would expect from an 8 handicapper like me. When we look at the data, I think you're going to see that that's pretty representative of what I would normally do. Some good ones, some pretty bad ones as well. So with that, let's move on to the Maxfli Tour X. So let's wrap this up with some drivers with the Maxfli Tour X. I think that was a pretty nice one to end on there. And just like the Pro V1, lots of dispersion, lots of variability. Again, 8 handicapper, kind of getting old, a lot of swings, but still a lot of really good shots coming off of that. And none of the bad ones, I don't think any of the bad ones can really be attributed to the golf ball itself. That's all user error. So really, I'm excited to get in there and dig through the data. But first impressions after hitting with this, I really think that it's extremely difficult to tell this from the Pro V1X.
So as you can see from the numbers, there's virtually no difference in carry, total yardage, and even spin rate between the Pro V1X and the Maxfli Tour X. Maybe 100 RPM in spin rate, really negligible. By the way, I'm not exactly sure why there's only 7 shots recorded for the Tour X. I know I hit more than that. The TrackMan, I don't know why it's not giving me the rest of the data, but rest assured that the other shots that it didn't pick up, they were right there in that same range. They weren't going to change these numbers at all. So for a 58-degree wedge, I'm incredibly impressed with the performance of the Tour X. These numbers really back up what I felt while I was hitting the ball. There really is not a difference that was perceptible to me between these two balls. As you can see from the 7-iron results, they're largely the same. Again, almost no difference between the Pro V1X and the Tour X. Maybe a tiny bit more spin out of the Tour X, but really, really nothing noticeable. And again, just absolutely blown away by how much this ball performs like the Pro V1X for me. And again, with the driver, I am just blown away by the fact that there's really no difference between these golf balls. You know, they say that feel isn't real, but honestly, again, the numbers just back up what I was feeling when I was hitting it, what I was seeing in instant results. Honestly, these two balls perform almost exactly the same for me. The variability in there, that's me. That's Nate Handicapper. That's my swing. That's how I hit the ball, especially with the driver. I'm pretty wild with the driver. Some good ones here, some bad ones here. But again, you know, if you blindfolded me, I don't think I'd be able to tell the difference.
So really excited about the prospects of the Tour X. And now let's see how it putts. Feels nice off the putter face. Really can't tell any difference. Yet again, feeling a lot like a Pro V1X. If you blindfolded me, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Hit that pretty hard. That's not the ball. That's all me. We'll see how the Tour X CG alignment system does. Rolls end over end, just like you'd expect. So after rolling a few putts, honestly, again, like I said, if you blindfolded me, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between this and a Pro V1X. Loved how the ball felt off the putter. Now let's go ahead and hit some short game shots. I'm going to use my 58. I wouldn't normally use this around the greens for most shots, but I feel like just about any ball is going to respond about the same to a chip and run. But let's see if we've got to get a little check on the ball. A little bit hard, but that was on me. Getting a little harder than I had hoped for, but that's user error. That's not the ball. starting to get a little bit better feel with this, and honestly, I'm not a high spin player around the greens. I don't notice any difference between this and the Pro V1X yet, but let's hit a few more. Give me enough chances at it, I can get pretty good. Completely fat, not the ball's fault, that was all me. Yeah, again, just too hard, but that's all my fault. The ball's coming off the face just fine. I think I might have that touch of a blacksmith today. It had a little bit of stop on it, a little more than I would have expected. I'll tell you, I'd really like to see this ball in the hands of a really good, really skilled short game player who can actually get some spin around the greens. From what I'm noticing, this is feeling and reacting just like a Pro V1X, just like with the putting. If you blindfolded me, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. The ball's coming off the club face, just like the Pro V1X does.
So the Tour X had great numbers, great feel with the wedges and the putter. I can't say it enough. I'm absolutely blown away by the Maxfli Tour X. I just can't tell the difference between this ball and the Pro V1X. The durability was great as well. I hit the same ball more than 60 times into an impact screen and I chipped with it, and there's just a small scuff on it, barely noticeable. This picture is blown up so much that it actually makes it look worse than it is. And honestly, if I can get 60 swings on a golf ball, I'm pretty lucky. So now for the big question. Will I be playing these golf balls? And the answer is no. I won't be playing these golf balls. And that's because you, one of our lucky subscribers, will be. When we get to 500 subscribers, we'll hold a drawing and give all 48 of them, even the one I hit, to one lucky winner. So help us get to 500 by subscribing to our channel, liking this video, leaving a comment, and sending this to your buddies. And as for me, I just placed an order for a 48 pack. I will be playing the Maxfli Tour X. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again soon.